skip over it once in a while and not.
He has once or twice.
Yeah, occasionally, yeah.
This one was 5,000 though. He wouldn't let us skip
Yeah,
over.
I ain't letting that 5,000 slide.
I didn't see anything on the minutes that needed to be changed or added to. You had a chance to look at them?
I have,
Everybody? The tax office had a busy month, which is kind of unusual for this time of the year. We're good when we're 94% on collections. Not bad. And we're getting down close to that mid-year range.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's time to go see where we're at.
We're gonna start minusing instead of plussing pretty quick.
that is no way to operate.
Gary.
The good news is, we made it to the 6-month mark, so that's where we needed to be before we start taking out.
That's
Yeah.
right.
We're gonna have to start taking a look with the sheriff's office on that SB 22 funds, see where we're at with that pretty soon. I bet you they can find ways to spend money, what do you bet?
They find plenty of ways to spend money. It's getting the invoices that's the
That's
challenge.
something we're gonna have to take a look at, start looking at.
Yeah. Well, we can pretty much use the exact same salary we used last year to take out.
And sometime this week, probably tomorrow, and we may start on it this afternoon, but just now got if y'all remember the American Rescue Funds at $262,000. We got the end of this month to fill out our final report on that to show where we spent those funds. I've got a stack, and we did this back first of the year, started putting all the financial stuff together. I've got it in there on my desk, we're running up a little over $300,000 that will show on that to cover that $262,000. There's a lot of counties, and it's big counties that got big funds. Most of them have got their funds committed. A lot of them don't have them spent yet, and some of them didn't have them committed. They're probably gonna end up having returned some funds on that, but we're gonna have ours covered, and I'll get that final report in sometime this week. But we got to the end of, didn't open the portal till the 1st of April. It has to be in by the 30th, so we'll get that done.
Hey, Ronnie, when will they do that SB 22? Have they already voted to renew it? Because they're in session now.
As far as I know, it hadn't come up, but
Because this as a 2-year deal.
yeah, that was a 2.
So this is year 2.
If they do it again this year, we'll have it for 2 more years.
That's right. I just
I mean,
want
there's not been any noises right now of them not doing it, but I've not got any confirmation that they've actually renewed it this time yet.
Okay.
The motor fuels, the exempt counties from the motor fuel taxes, that has passed the House. It's now at the end of the Senate, so that's gonna be a good thing if we get that passed.
Sure.
SB 19, the one the one that quiets the local governments, in other words, prevents us from having representation down there, spending public funds. I don't think that thing's gonna pass, but it's still hanging around. So, but there's sure been a lot of pushback, not just from our association, Texas Association of Counties, but Municipal League, Sheriff's Associations, all of them. Been pushing pretty hard on that, so we'll see.
I make the motion that we approve the consent list.
Okay, got a motion to approve the consent list. Gary, second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, that motion's carried. Road and Bridge is out. They're blading roads and hauling some material around, I think. I've got our annual CDL report in there on my desk. Jackie got all of the information to me last week on that, so that's another report going in on Road and Bridge. CDLs, that, you know, they started that national registry on all CDL drivers. And Allied takes care of that for us. You know, we contract with them to keep that, all that done.
What do you gotta do? You got your CDLs?
Any CDL that, like for the county, see, they have to be on a drug testing deal.
Right.
Well, there's a national, they started just 2 years ago, a national registry on CDL drivers. That way they track, and it's mainly to keep track of these long haul drivers, over the road drivers, because they might get in trouble in one state, they move off somewhere else, and you've got people that's got violations in one state, they move off to someplace else, this way to track that. You know, so, it's another one, but anyway, Allied Compliance, takes care of that for us. And that's, I've got that in there on my desk, the report we gotta get in. Another one of those reports that comes up from time to time. So, anyway. Anybody have anything on Road and Bridge? All right. Let's discussion on Treasurer's quarterly reports. Daniel?
They look just like the monthly report.
On their big CDs, 3.75% interest on them,
That's where I'm kinda guessing right now, yeah.
is that still holding maybe?
Well, on the big one, because it's a year.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't renew till November.
So we got the financial report, and then we got the quarterly investment report.
Which there wasn't a lot of change on the investment and report, simply because
Sure.
Oh, I thought I was clicking my pen.
Well, you did, but I didn't call you out this time.
I wasn't calling you out on it, yeah.
I've never done this.
You did really good.
See, now you know why my wife's so happy married, because I respond when a woman tells me, I just do what they say. At all times,
Until you blink and you forget
yeah.
again.
What was I doing?
She told me not to do something. What was that?
All right, any questions or comments about anything on either of the quarterly reports? Wonder if the school's gonna need that permanent school fund with the work they're doing down there. I guess the bond will cover about everything on it. I think about $30,000 in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that quarterly, that check? That
Well,
old
No.
check?
we usually get one about once a month, but
That's up though, isn't it? Am I wrong?
Huh?
That's
No.
up a little bit?
Well, it is up a little bit from where it had went down to,
That's what I thought.
but, it's still pretty low.
Yes.
it got down to about $2,200.
That's
for a
what I-
while.
that's
think
what
it's
I
up
asked
about
that.
3,600, wasn't it, on our last one, Andy, something like that?
This is showing 46.
Yeah.
Which is about $1,400.
I thought it was, that's why I asked that. I thought,
I
man,
keep hoping they'll drill another well or two out there on that.
no kidding.
Anyway.
But it has kind of stabilized and it is pretty steady right now.
Yeah.
At that. There for a while, it was just kind of plummeting.
Yeah, it got pretty weak.
It got really bad
Yeah.
there.
So,
Anyway, questions, comments about quarterly? Have a motion? Shorty's motion to approve.
second.
Ike second. All in favor? All right, item number 5. Consider designating Nicole Calamaco as the Victim Assistant Coordinator for Stonewall County. Without the Commissioners Court making a designation on who is, then the county attorney is automatically the Victim's Assistant Coordinator. Now, when I first came into office, as you know, we didn't have a county attorney. We had a pro tem, and Nicole worked for me over here. And I sent her to the school to get certified as the Victim's Assistance Coordinator. And she's been one other time since she came back to work for us. She's qualified, she's been to the qualification schools. And I'd like to officially designate her as the Victim's Assistance Coordinator. I've talked to her about it, probably gonna go back to the school. It's in November this year. She'll go back to the schools on that to get the update education on that. It's something we have to have. But like I say, without the Commissioners Court officially designating someone else, the county attorney is automatically that person. But I'd like to, since Nicole's in the office all the time, I'd like to designate her as the county's official Victims Assistance Coordinator. That,
Sounds
you
good
got
to me.
questions on it? I mean, there's not a lot to do here. Now, big counties, where we've got tons, where they've got tons of, you know, they may have 50 or 60 dockets each week on just misdemeanors.
Yeah.
Then most of these bigger counties that have that, they'll have a Victims Assistance Coordinator that's all they do. But here, and Nicole's done, we've had a few where she's had to do some work for them.
That's what I was thinking to ask you. I mean, without, I know you can't go into full detail, but she has had.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've
Yeah,
had to have her.
unfortunately, we've had to have
services.
her, to attend to that in the past.
Yes, sir.
So,
I make a motion, we appoint Nicole as the Victims Assistant Coordinator for Stonewall County.
Okay.
Holly?
All right, got the motion, with a second. Gary, that's acceptance. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion carried. Item 6, open forum. Gary?
No, sir. Don't have any. Oh, well, I saw Jackie, Thursday, baseball game.
Yeah.
He's doing pretty good.
Yeah,
He said
he's
he'd come back to work a little bit.
Yeah,
but anyway.
well, he's been around and all. Like I say, last week, he gathered up all the information I needed for that
Yeah.
report on our CDLs.
Yeah.
Got that to it. He's been around. He's doing good. He's still, you know, got a little convalescing to do, but
Yeah.
he's doing good. But I think he was gonna be back for full-time this week.
Yep. I think he had a doctor's appointment today, didn't he?
I think so today.
I think that's what he told me.
it was. I think he had a
He was
doctor's
going back
appointment
to-
at 9 o'clock.
Yep.
Follow-up
Yeah.
appointment on that.
Anyway,
So,
that's all I got.
yep. Shorty? Gary? Mike?
No, sir.
Mike? Hey. Got a light in here today.
Yeah.
Just got a couple things. In case you wasn't aware, last Monday I lifted the burn ban. We'd had pretty much general, anywhere from 2.5 to 3 inches of rain on the entire county. As is always the case, we put a burn ban in effect. Everybody decides they need to burn something. And after the rain Monday morning, not only people walking into my office, but the phone was ringing off the hook. I think some of y'all got some of that too. And so I called Gary and see how it was out there, talked to Shorty about the other side of the county. It was general rain, so I lifted the burn ban, and I have that authority. Y'all gave me that authority in the orders every time, so we lifted that last Monday. Just so you're kind of aware of the interest on it. I had a long discussion, phone discussion with a wind farm company. They're in the process of building a pretty sizable wind farm in King County. It runs right down against our northern, I think they've got about 2,000 acres up there in Stonewall County that they've made arrangements for. They called, we had a long discussion. I pulled the Amadeus agreement on it because it was a payment, a pilot program, and sent them a copy of that so they'd see where we're at and where we stand on it. Their initial, what they said they were paying King County and what they'd offered us, and I told them they're way out of the ballpark on that. And so they came up and made another offer, and I told them, you're still way out of the ballpark. So I sent them that Amadeus agreement on it so they'll see. Now, they may look at that and say, oh, we can't do it. I don't know. But I don't think we need to negotiate anything less than what we did on that Amadeus wind farm out here.
Ronnie, how many tires are?
I don't know.
They never play the cards.
They're good. They said sometime within the next 2 months, they'd like to set up an appointment, come down and have a face-to-face discussion and see where we're at. When they get ready, I'll let y'all know, and I'd like for you, at least some of y'all to sit in on that when they come, when we start the discussions with them. But anyhow, that's in the northern end of the county. I knew they were gonna be interested, because I got a call from them, actually. Well, they got an email from them, and they've actually sent an email to Holly, the initial one, sent it down to me, and so what they was wanting to know was about our roads up there, the widths on our roads and that sort of stuff. And is a young lady that's been their point person, we've been talking to her. She said they were impressed with the documentation and all we have on our county roads, because King County doesn't have anything. So she said that we're pretty impressed with the way y'all got your county roads documented. So anyway, but that's another thing that's kind of in the works now. And when they call and want to have a face-to-face discussion, start discussions on that, I'll let y'all know, and I'd like to get y'all, at least some of y'all to sit in on that.
The north end of the county, is it completely in the school district?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
one of the only parts.
Yeah.
So how much of the west end of the county?
From the northwest and all the way across the north, is I don't, see, we lose some over there on the west side to, actually it goes to Haskell, but it's,
Judd,
Rochester.
Yeah.
Rochester.
But that old gas plant, it's set.
Yeah, it's
that-
all-
that
it's all
Kinder Morgan, all
Stonewall
that's in
County.
our
Yeah.
school district, right?
Kinder Morgan's all ours, they're for our school district.
Then you got Hamlin and Rotan on this end,
Yeah.
that part of
And
that
you
runs
got,
into theirs.
Rural
Yeah.
in there, right over in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so right there in this corner down here,
The
between
one-
us, right here in the corner between us and Kent County, does Kent County have any of ours?
No, no. Kent County doesn't have any of ours. We don't have any of anybody else's, and as far as I know, Kent County doesn't have anybody else's. But we give up, I think I've told you all this before, but it's been 4 or 5 years ago. And I got to really looking at that, and I sat down and figured it. And at that time, our school was losing just a little over $500,000 of ad valorem taxes that was leaving Stonewall County going to other school districts. Rotan, Hamlin, Haskell, Rue, not Benjamin,
Rochester.
yeah, O'Brien.
O'Brien?
No, it was Rochester.
Rochester.
Yeah. So it's I still haven't quite figured out why we lost all that all those years ago, but and it had to do with busing.
I know that's why you lost it in here in
Yeah.
south end of the county.
I know our school's been looking into it. They called me and I sent them some documentation
Yeah.
on stuff, so.
But see,
I don't know if they can get anything
the
done. but-
only kids that live down in the Wrights Chapel area that Rotan School District, all those kids that live down there, and there's not that many, and you know who they are, all come to school here. We've got no kids that goes in those districts that go to those school districts.
That's my
The only kids we've got a few that a couple that go from here to Hamlin, but they don't live in that particular area. But we're losing all the taxis for the school in those areas.
Gonna lose all of it on this solar farm.
Huh?
Gonna lose all of it on the solar farm.
It'll all
behind-
go
No.
to Hamlin.
Yep.
The solar farm?
The solar farm.
Yeah.
It's all gonna go to Hamlin.
It's not all in Hamlin's, is it?
In their
I
school
thought there's
district?
part of it gonna be
I'm
across.
not sure it's
school
all in
districts.
Hamlin.
That line,
It was
if
all
you
in Hamlin.
draw that line east-west, it runs right down the north edge of the mountains. That's where the line's at. And then it splits where the Fisher County and Jones County line connects with Stonewall County. That's their dividing line. But that line runs all the way across the county from east to west. It runs right down the north edge of the mountains, double mountains, which,
That's what I-
It's gonna be splitting hairs.
yeah, I mean, it takes in everything back there. Yeah, that's just like the little mining pit out there for the
Right.
all of that goes to Rotan. I know the school they're investigating now maybe ways to pull that back in. They're talking about going to the court system. I think the better course, and I think the only way you'd ever get it done is through the legislative system. I think the legislature would have to do that. But,
You know, I can't believe, this is my thinking, we're talking about so much money statewide, 254 counties. We're not the only ones getting into this.
Right.
I can't believe somebody hadn't tried this somewhere in a courtroom somewhere. And fought it up, because you're just gonna go to the Supreme Court when it's all said and done.
yeah,
I mean, that's where it'll wind up
Cause
at.
there's some big money
There's
out there.
serious jack involved in
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
deal.
for some of those counties.
I mean, like I say, just our little
Especially
county here.
where,
I don't know what it is now. I could figure when we get back into our certified values this year, but like I say, 4 or 5 years ago, I figured that our school system was losing over $500,000 a year in taxes that's going out, that's generated in Stonewall County and leaving the county to other school districts. That's something about that just doesn't, it's just not right. But like I said, I know the school has started trying to look into that to see if we could enforce that issue. But we'll see how that works out. Anyway. That's all I've got. Anybody have anything else?
Motion adjourned.
My second.
We are adjourned.
Well, if I had time, I'd go with you today.
I ain't going today.
Oh.